Hey everyone, I'm Aria and welcome to today's video. So I will explain where I've been in just a little bit, but first I should introduce this. So I put out a shell challenge, my first shell challenge maybe a week ago or so, and I thought that I would try it myself. It's quite an interesting shell shape, so I wanted to give it a go and make sure that it was, actually possible. And I will link the Instagram post down below in case you missed it or you would like to enter yourself and be in with a chance to win a Sims 4 kit. So for this one, I didn't really have anything in mind when I was actually building the shell, but when it came to trying to figure out what I wanted to actually do with it, I was thinking of the different worlds that I haven't built in recently, the different styles that I haven't done for a little while, and Mount Komorebi is somewhere that I've only ever built in once. I'd only built there when Snowy Escape first came out. I built I think maybe apartments or something, and I just haven't gone back there since, and so I wanted to try and build something here. So I've gone with kind of a mix between more traditional Japanese housing and slightly more modernized. I did have more of a family story in mind with this one, which I will explain, and I do actually really like it. It's a generational family home for 3 generations, grandparents, parents, and then I have included a nursery, but I've put a bassinet in there, so I kind of imagine that these parents were maybe brand new parents. They had a newborn, or the baby's not quite been born yet, and yeah, I thought that was something that I haven't done before either, that kind of storyline. Normally I go with toddlers because I don't really play with babies, but I know some people do, so I wanted to include those sorts of things. So I did some really interesting things with the roofing on this one, which I really like, and yeah, I've tried to stick with kind of a more traditional theme on the outside, and then inside there's still hints of tradition, but it's slightly more modernized, which I really like. So going back to where I've been the last few weeks, so I don't know if any of you have heard, but the area that I live in Queensland, in Brisbane, it did flood quite badly a couple weeks ago. I will link a couple videos down below if you would like to kind of see for yourself. I would kind of advise caution in the news video because it could be quite traumatic for some of you to see, but the other one is more of a personal account from someone who lives in the same area that I do, so you'll be able to see a little bit more of the local area, whereas the news video is a little bit more of a helicopter shot, so you'll be able to see overhead views of the river and everything. But yeah, it did flood pretty bad. In some areas it was chest high. So in the personal video that I will link below, if you skip to about 8 minutes in, I think it's a half an hour video, so it's quite long of pretty much the same thing, but if you skip to about 8 minutes in, you'll be able to see the water height of the guy whose video is, and that's probably the worst area, I think. Where I live, luckily we live in an apartment, so we're on the 7th floor, and our apartment didn't flood, but the street did, and I think the street was probably about 3 or 4 feet underwater. So as you can imagine, the complications that come with that, we couldn't get out, no electricity, that sort of thing, and then the aftermath of trying to clean it up was probably my main issue when it comes to doing videos and things, because obviously they were trying to vacuum the water out of buildings, they were trying to repair things, rescuing people, we had boats going everywhere and places that they shouldn't be, in the road, so yeah, I'm sure you can imagine the noise that comes with those sorts of things. And I think in my last video I did kind of half mention it, and the vacuum trucks were going in the background. There's a slight hum that you could see, but they were miles away. And I thought they were literally in the same street as me, because it when I opened the door, it was quite loud, but they weren't actually anywhere near us because obviously they had to start where the flooding started. So by the time they actually got to my street, it was like a week later, and it just got louder and louder and louder, and you know, it was going 24/7. So I didn't have any kind of opportunity to do any kind of voice recording because you could just hear these trucks in the background like constantly, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't a good time for recording, so I decided just to, you know, wait it out and see if I could do some building in the meantime, which is why I kind of started doing this. And it did actually take me like a week to do because the other problem that I had is I have carpal tunnel. So I had to keep on taking breaks because my hands were really painful. And I think I've finally gotten to a point now that I know how much I can do before I, you know, start getting quite bad pain and everything. So I've kind of figured it out that I can spend, you know, a couple hours at a time building, and then I have to take a break. So, you know, hopefully that won't be too much of a problem in the future. But if I do upload like a day or two late, then it's probably because my hands have been quite painful. But yeah, anyway, if you would like to kind of see the area that I live, I mean, it doesn't look it doesn't look that great in the videos because it's, you know, 3 foot underwater. But yeah, if you'd like to have a look, then I'll link them in the description for you. But anyway, back to this house. So I am currently doing the roof detailing that I mentioned earlier. I'm using the tool mod to move these. I don't actually know what they are, but they're just like roof decorations, and I originally was going to use them in like the dark brown swatch, which I think is probably my go-to swatch, but I really liked the contrast between the dark roof tiles and these red like decoration things. And I put them all across the top initially, but it just looked a little bit like bare because I'd done the roof trim in red and then across the top in red. I felt like it needed something a little bit on the edges and the corners, so I kind of just filled it in where I could, and I absolutely love what it looks like. So I really hope you like it too. I didn't take too long, surprisingly, on the floor plan, mostly because when I was actually building the shell, I built it in kind of blocks, if that makes sense. Like I built it in squares, so I kind of already knew a rough floor plan shape. But I've actually turned the entire shell around, so I've like rotated it 360, and I much prefer this one, like this, the way that it looks this way for this particular build, because I managed to get like a nice kind of deck area on the back. So there is a bedroom downstairs, a garage downstairs, a full bathroom, even though it actually comes off of the kitchen. Where I've built the like entryway and then the kitchen is kind of to the right of it, there was like a really awkward space that I didn't know what to do with. And then I'd obviously put a bedroom downstairs too, and I didn't really know where to put the bathroom for that bedroom because I'd put a garage in, and trying to make the garage a little bit smaller to fit a bathroom in just looked a little bit odd. And then if I had put it where the lounge room is, the lounge room wasn't big enough, so I just put it in that awkward space near the front door. And there's got like a little patio kind of area out the back, which I think I end up putting like an easel or something. And then upstairs there is 2 bedrooms, there's another double bedroom and the nursery, like I said earlier. So my idea for the family that lives in this house is 2 grandparents who are elders, and then the 2 parents. I was imagining it was probably the son of the elders, his partner, and then their future baby who is either just been born or on the way. And yeah, I thought, you know, they're probably young adults. I play most of my games on short lifespan, so generally my Sims don't ever get to meet their grandchildren. But if you play on, you know, normal or long lifespan, definitely long lifespan, then they will probably get to meet their grandchildren. But I thought that the adults or young adults were like taking over ownership of this house, and they were renovating it to kind of fit more of a up-to-date style, maybe their own kind of style preference. So the inside is slightly more modernized than the outside. I've put this little pond out here, which I really like. I've used quite a lot of the Snowy Escape items. I tried to mostly stick with base game and Snowy Escape live edit plants and trees, which I don't really use very often, but I do really like them. And I actually found some rocks in Snowy Escape live edit menu, which I haven't really used, if ever, I don't think, and I really like them, so I will be using them in the future, definitely. I did want to include quite a lot of bamboo around the outside, but I didn't really have anywhere that I could put it that to me felt like a natural place for it to grow. I've never been to Japan, so I don't really know what it looks like, but we do have bamboo here in Australia, and one of my mother-in-law's friends has got quite a big bamboo forest on her property, and I've been there a couple times, and to be honest, there isn't really much going on because it blocks out all the sunlight. Underneath is mostly leaf litter and like very small like shrubs or plants, because obviously it's completely shaded from the sun, so nothing really grows under there. And I didn't really know what to do, because obviously in The Sims you kind of have to not really go so much with reality because it doesn't look right in the game. But when it came to, you know, doing things underneath the bamboo in this lot, it just looked a little bit boring with nothing there. So I've put a couple of like little flowers and some grass, because to be honest, what I really wanted was like a leaf litter terrain paint, or like an item that I could put there, but the leaves that we have from Seasons, the bundle is just too big, and I probably could have sized it down, but then you would have had like all of these different individual items, and I'd already placed so many items in the landscaping itself that I didn't want to overdo it. So I tried to just keep it very simple. And these are the flowers that I've included, just a couple of little ones, and then I use these grass pieces from, is it Cottage Living? I keep wanting to call it Country Living, and I think I have done by mistake in the past, and that's not what I mean to do, because it's like one of my favorite packs and I can't even get the name right. But anyway, this little area over here I originally had in mind as like a little farming plot, because over the back of this lot there's like some little rice fields and things on the other side of the little pond that you've got going on. This is the 50 by 50 lot. I don't think I mentioned that yet. But I wanted to also include a couple more traditional items, so I've put some of these urns down, and the shrine, and then the little lanterns. I don't remember what they're called. But like the more traditional lanterns I've put out there, and then left the farming plots over to the right hand side, and thought like they were probably put in a little bit later, maybe by the young adults in this house, not the elders. And I don't think I've ever used these pathstones before either. I think they're really lovely. They're a little bit too bright for me, and for some reason I thought they came with Eco Lifestyle, but apparently they came with this pack, so I figured I would use them. So moving on to the inside, like I said, I wanted this to be a kind of cross between traditional and more modern. So I've put like a modern kitchen in. The bathrooms are a little bit more modern, even though I have used the Snowy Escape bathtubs. I spent ages trying to learn how to properly place these mats. Are they called tatami mats? Is that what they're called? And I spent ages trying to look up like the proper way of making the patterns, because I was like putting them in and they were just in the wrong shape and I didn't like it, so I had to Google like how to actually properly place them down. And then I put the I'm gonna get this wrong again, I'm sure, is it kontotsu table? I think that's right. I put that on the top because in the images I saw that was generally where it was placed. I mean, I know absolutely nothing about traditional Japanese housing, so I've probably got it all completely wrong, and for that I apologize. But you know, I wanted there to be a big kind of mashup between traditional and more modern, because I thought, you know, it's kind of bridging the two generations together and still keeping that tradition alive, but it's more, you know, modern. I don't really know how else to say it, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. I've tried to include as many skill building items as I could, like I do in most of my builds. There is a chess table. I did not realize how expensive the chess tables are. They're like 400 simoleons, and that's not including the chairs. So I do play a little bit of a kind of short rags to riches legacy kind of situation gameplay off camera. And one of my sims needed a chess table for their job to build up the logic skill, and it was like, play chess every day for your work performance or whatever. And I was like, how am I supposed to ever afford a chess table when I can't even afford to feed my kids? It was a real problem, and it took me ages trying to save up enough money whilst also, you know, feeding everybody and doing everything else that I needed, and making sure there was a bathroom and, you know, they had beds and things. So yeah, I didn't realize quite how expensive those chess tables are. But anyway, I've included one in this house. I wasn't really thinking about budget, to be honest. I mean, I put all those decorations on the roof, so now is not really the time to be worrying about how much things cost. But in terms of items, I didn't want to put too many like clutter items in, because I didn't feel like this was this type of house or the style of house that there would be a lot of clutter. So I tried to keep it kind of as minimal as I could, which for me, I mean, I clutter my builds up to the point that you can't even use the counters, so that was quite hard. But I tried. In the entryway, again, I tried to keep it as traditional as I could in terms of like the style with the step and everything. To be honest, I think that's just such a good idea just for anybody's house, because you don't want your muddy shoes in the house. So I really like this idea, and I think I will probably include it in my houses in the future anyway, because I just think it's really good. You know, it's clever and it makes sense. So yeah, I've tried to, like I said, keep the clutter down, but I have included my kind of go-to pieces, if that makes sense. So like in the entryway, I've put like photos and some letters, plants, and then on the bedside tables, I think I've included like some books and a clock and things like that I thought, you know, they're things that you would have in your house anyway. But I did try and keep it as minimal as possible. I wanted to include this new tea set that we got with My Wedding Stories. Neither one of the styles particularly fitted what I had in mind, to be honest. I would have preferred just a plain white, you know, nothing, no frills like it is on the English one. But then, to be honest, if we could have the Chinese set but just in all white so that it would fit any kind of style, I think that would probably be really nice. So this is the bedroom I imagined for the grandparents. I wanted this one to be a little bit more traditional than the other one. I'm not sure how traditional it actually is, but I was so happy when I realized that this swatch from this, I think it's a divider, or this, I don't know, detail thing from My Wedding Stories, matches the wood swatch from the Snowy Escape items really, really well. And I think it just looks really lovely in here. I like the lighting. I've tried to keep the lighting in the whole house as natural as possible. So a lot of the times I just stick with these giant saucer lights, or the small version. But then everything's just unnaturally bright inside the house. It's good to see what you're doing, you know, when you're building, but when it comes to actual gameplay, it's just way too bright and it doesn't make sense. Especially if, like, for example, you want your Sims to have a movie night with their family or something, and you've got this giant saucer light right above the coffee table. It's just, there's kind of no atmosphere. It's just very bright and white and just unnatural. So this bathroom upstairs, I have put the divider next to the shower. I haven't actually tested that yet, so before I upload it I will have to play test it, because I'm not sure whether they can actually get to the shower. Most of the time they only need like a half tile to access places, but there are some items that they need a little bit more room, so I'll have to double check that. So up here is what I imagined to be the adults or young adults room, like the parents, not the grandparents. I really struggled with the like color scheme for this room and the nursery especially, but this one I really wanted to use this rug from the paranormal pack. I really liked the gold accents, but the wallpapers I didn't find really matched quite the way that I was hoping they would, and I think that's just like a personal preference because everyone sees color slightly differently. So to me the shade didn't really match how I wanted it to, but I'm pretty pleased with how it looks in the end. And then the final room is the nursery. So it is quite a big room. You'd be able to easily change it into a double bedroom if you wanted it to. I think it's a 4x4 room, so you will be able to get a double bed in there, just not very much of anything else. But I wanted it to be a nursery. Like I said, I haven't really done a nursery before. I mostly do toddler rooms or like kids rooms. So this one, it was new for me, and to be honest, I didn't really know how I wanted it to look. I spent a lot of time looking through inspiration on Pinterest and finally kind of came up with a more neutral color scheme that I really liked. So hopefully you like it too. But we are at the end of today's video, so I really hope that you have enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to take part in this shell challenge, then I will link the Instagram post below, and then if you would like to enter, you will be in with a chance to win a Sims 4 kit of your choice. So yeah, I really hope that you have fun if you choose to take part. Upload to the gallery using the hashtag AriaShell. I thought it was the easiest thing to come up with, so hopefully it's easy enough for you to remember too. But yeah, thank you again, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me were meant to be.